Hey y'all. So this is my first time live streaming, and it's going to be what it is. This is I guess the first episode of a project that I've wanted to do for a long time, talking about drummers that I think y'all should know, which I think is important because I'm always amazed how many of my students don't know about so many of the drummers that I think are important. It wasn't my intention to start this series with this drummer. But the news broke today that he passed away, and I found myself having lots of feels about that I needed to talk about. Hey Johnny, long live Rush indeed. So yeah, Neil Peart passed away Tuesday, and I might cry. I've cried a bit already. I usually don't cry when famous people die, but hi Fernando. But yeah, it's hitting me kind of hard. Neil Peart was probably the first drummer that I recognized as progressive that I liked as a kid, which is a funny thing to say because there were progressive drummers that I liked before Neil, but he was the first one that I realized, oh, those are odd times, and look at all the drums, and wow, he's using tubular bells, right? And I remember being in my backyard, and I was that obnoxious kid and I'm old enough that we used to have boom boxes, right? So portable radios that were like this big, right? And I would have my boom box and I would play Anthem, which is one of the songs on Fly By Night, over and over and over. And even then, I knew that a big reason that I liked Rush was, I mean, the music is great, the drumming is amazing, but the lyrics really kind of always spoke to me. And as Rush went on, and as I got older, and as Rush got older, and their music got a little less progressive, and my tastes got more progressive, musically I sort of drifted away from them, but lyrically, if anything, Neil's lyrics got just better and better for his whole life. I always wished that he had written, a giant book of poetry. There should probably be a hardcover release of Rush lyrics if there isn't, and I'm a bad Rush fan for not knowing whether there is. But so yeah, I'm happy that a couple of you are here with me. This is going to be crazy rambly, and I apologize. And if you like listening to me ramble, that's awesome. And if you don't, feel free to check out whenever. So when I was about 20, and I was in my first progressive metal band called Sex and Witchcraft, which is a hilarious name. It seems a little cringy now. When I was 20, it seemed so badass. But I used to say that I wanted to be a blend of John Bonham and Neil Peart, right? Neil's technique and approach to a very drumistic style, right? I mean, you can easily say that Neil, in any other band, Neil would have been playing too much, but in Rush, the band just, I mean, the drums are an integral part of Rush, right? So yeah, shortly after I was 20, you know what? I'm gonna do this discography wise. So Fly By Night, I loved that album like crazy. Let's talk a little bit about his drumming. So that tune Anthem that I played over and over again, there's a fill towards the end of it that's, it's just quads, right? So two hands on the hands, two notes on the hands, two notes on the feet, right? But that was the first time I had heard that fill, and it, wow. So not only did I play that song over and over again, I played that last little bit over and over again. Digital media is lovely nowadays because I think I went through a few copies of that tape, and yeah, it was tapes were a thing that could wear out, right? So also on Fly By Night is, I apologize, my memory is lame, and so I'm gonna like check in with Wikipedias and stuff. Yeah, so also on Fly By Night is this tune called Bytor and the Snow Dog, and it's been a long time since I've listened to it, so I'm forgetting exactly how the lick goes, and I can't play it because I don't want to deal with copyright stuff on the stream, right? So, but there's a section of it that ends, right? They start with two triplets, and then they do the lick again, and then it's 5 notes, and then 4 notes, and then 3 notes, and then 2 notes, and then 1 note. And I totally used a similar idea when I wrote my piano concerto in college, right? I mean, the Rush and Neil Peart specifically are simultaneously, in my sort of the way I understand the world, they are, and he is, so much the cliche that they're past cliche and cool, right? Like Rush is that cliche rock drummer who plays too many notes and has too many drums and has too many cymbals, and yet he's also the super coolest rock drummer, right? Who everyone wants to air drum to, and everyone wants to learn Rush parts, and everyone wants to be Neil Peart, right? And it's a funny dichotomy that Rush was able to pull that off. Okay, so Fly By Night came out in '75. I didn't really discover this stuff probably until I was 13. So I'm gonna quickly jump over a few records, right? So then is Caress of Steel, which I liked, but wasn't as, monumental for me. And then 2112. And 2112 was the first time that I really paid attention to Neil's lyrics, right? My favorite parts of 2112 are all the parts where he's talking about music as, this ethereal thing. What is this strange device? When I touch it, it gives forth a sound, right? That was when I first really started to go, wait a minute, this dude is telling stories with his lyrics in a way that reminded me of books I had read, which makes sense because Neil was very well read and eventually became an author of books in his own right. But yeah, so oh God, A Farewell to Kings. So A Farewell to Kings has a couple songs I want to talk about, like a bit. First is Xanadu, which I probably still have it. I had a book of Rush transcriptions, and it had Xanadu in it. And Xanadu was the first like really crazy Rush song that I learned how to play. So I would play it and I would sing it, and it just, I don't know. It's been a really long time since I've played any Rush music, and I kind of feel like if I do, I want to play something crazy like Xanadu. So maybe. But A Farewell to Kings also has Closer to the Heart, and Closer to the Heart is exactly an example of what I was talking about them being like sort of cliche, but also past cliche, right? Like now this song, so, you know, these lyrics are so timeless, right? The men who hold high places must be the ones who start to mold a new reality closer to the heart, right? I mean, I say this thing about Bach, right? The Johann Sebastian Bach's music is it's perfect, right? When you perform Bach's music, if you make a mistake, everyone knows, because every note is placed just so, and everyone knows how. It's almost like Bach like touched into something sort of supernatural, and when you miss a note, that's obvious. And Neil's lyrics are like that for me. Like his lyrics are just so perfectly placed, perfectly leading one to the next, that they can seem cliche, but that's only because they're perfect. And you know, and it feels like if you criticize them, it feels like it's only because you didn't think of them, you know, which is probably a silly thing to say. But Closer to the Heart it's kind of like Stairway to Heaven is. It's a song that I heard so many times that finally I stopped listening to it, because, you know, you get, I don't want to say tired, but you get to a point where music is just, you know it all, and nothing is surprising anymore, and so you kind of get done with it. Hey, new people. Yeah, this is pretty rambly. Hey, Matt. Hey, Rob. Hey, Chris. I'm going to, this is my first ever live stream, so I'm probably going to be terrible at it, and I'm probably not going to be able to keep up with comments very well, and keep any sort of a coherent thread. So if I ignore y'all, I apologize. But yeah, Closer to the Heart it's the type of song that so there's that scene in Lord of the Rings, right, in Return of the King, where Frodo is getting on the boat and going to the Grey Havens in the West, and there's this music that plays, and it's an so the Howard Shore score is beautiful, but then there's an Annie Lennox tune, and it's all about, it's funny because it's about dying and going to heaven, but I always see it as very positive, and I actually have it as the song I wake up to on my alarm clock. And this song is similar to me. When I hear Closer to the Heart, I just want to go to heaven, right? I mean, I feel like I'm in heaven. And it's silly in some ways to be so focusing on his lyrics, but the thing about Neil's drumming for me always was he was so informed by the lyrics that he was writing that the lyrics and the drumming were the same. They were just connected, right? They were the same part almost. It makes me wish more drummers wrote lyrics. Okay, so I'm going to skip a couple because I'm just getting so rambly. I spent part of the day watching A Show of Hands, which is my favorite Rush live video, and probably one of my favorite live videos. And it's an amazing set of Rush tunes, and it's an amazing, Rush is Neil is kind of firing on all cylinders at that point. And I got to be honest, I hate that he stopped playing a double bass kit, because it kind of breaks my heart, right? I'm a double bass player, and I really like people playing double bass with me, especially him, right? He's one of the reasons I play double bass. So my first kits were, I had this red double bass kit, and I had roto toms here because I couldn't afford, single-headed toms, but I totally wanted to be that guy. When my husband got home, I couldn't even say Neil Peart died. I looked at him and I cried, and I held up the laptop so he could see, and it's so silly, right? I didn't even know this guy, and by all accounts, he was kind of, he wasn't the best at having relationships with his fans. Although it's sort of in that regard, I kind of relate, right? His thing was, if you like someone's work, why necessarily do you want to meet them? I think that's a reasonable question, right? Oh my God, this is even more rambly than I expected. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what to say. I felt like there was already, I saw someone, you know what, I will say this. Already I saw someone on Facebook say he was overrated. And and that really pissed me off. And it's funny because there were certainly times in my life where I thought, towards the later Rush albums, when he would win, best recorded performance in Modern Drummer for, like Counterparts. And Counterparts is a great record. I like Counterparts a lot, but was it the best drumming performance on a record that year? I don't know. It kind of became like a legacy award almost, right? But when the person on Facebook said he was overrated, I kind of don't even know what that means, right? So if we're judging any performer by their influence, right? I don't know how Neil could possibly be overrated. My Facebook feed today was slammed with everyone posting about the news, and lots of people posting very emotionally about the news. Neil influenced so many young and old drummers, and I don't know, like, this goes back to the thing I was saying earlier about, as I got older and my tastes got more progressive, I drifted away from him as a player. But I always recognized he was always Neil Peart, right? One of the things I respected about him is, as his tendonitis got bad and he, felt like he wasn't able to play up to his level, that he decided he had to stop, which was heartbreaking, right? Time comes for us all and eats us all, right? Very really. But the fact that he didn't want to perform if he couldn't perform up to a standard that he had set for himself, I think means something, right? I'm not going to name any names, but I've seen videos of performers aging poorly on stage, right? Just recently, as a matter of fact. And for Neil to know when he wanted to stop, to not have, videos of himself tarnishing his legacy, I think is really important. Oh, I am all over the map. Anyway, but on the subject of him as overrated, right? I don't get how that could possibly be. I don't believe in an objective standard of art. And so, do people play faster notes than Neil? Sure. Did he play the most complicated independence patterns? No, right? But that's kind of not what drumming is about, right? Drumming isn't can you do this and can you do this and can you do this? It's not the Olympics, right? It's not like the decathlon. We're not keeping score in that way. Neil created incredibly memorable drum parts, and performed them flawlessly over and over and over and over again, right? And so I don't know. There's this other thing that happened too, and I won't name names because I won't. But while I was at Berkeley, was right around the time the Burning for Buddy sessions came out, and the Burning for Buddy things. If you don't know what those are, so in the mid '90s, Neil Peart started studying with Freddie Gruber, who had been a friend of Buddy Rich, and that was when he went back to playing traditional grip for a while, and he moved to the toms a little bit, and he changed his snare. He it seems like eventually he abandoned most of the things he learned from Freddie, or didn't really fully integrate them into his rock playing. But during that period, he set up these sessions with the Buddy Rich Big Band, and they recorded 2 albums, and they released 4 videos of Buddy Rich charts. Mostly, there's a few that aren't Buddy charts, but mostly Buddy Rich charts with Rod Morgenstein and Greg Bissonette and Dave Weckl and Steve Smith and Billy Cobham and Joe Morello, and right, all these amazing drummers, and Neil sitting in with the band, right? And the reality is Neil was out of his comfort zone, right? And I have fantasies about playing with like a progressive rock big band, but if I had to play with a straight ahead jazz big band tomorrow, I'm not super comfortable setting up figures, right? I mean, like it's a thing I don't do, and it was a thing that Neil hadn't done, and the fact that he threw himself into that without just in an unabashed way. He was like, I love Buddy Rich, and I'm doing this thing to keep Buddy's memory alive, and I'm going to release 2 big band records that are going to sell better than most big band records did in the 90s, right? So that was happening then. And there were these couple professors at Berkeley, old, crusty jazz guys. And anybody can have an ego, so I don't mean to single out crusty jazz guys. But they started going off one day about Neil not being able to swing. And, it was in the hallway, and I'm pretty sure they didn't know I was overhearing them, which that's a good tip, right? If you want to hear what people really think, try and figure out how to hear them without them knowing you're hearing them. And then, but it was just, I don't know, it was just really catty, and it came across as sour grapes to me. It's true that Neil's playing was, it's part of the reason he developed tendonitis, right? His playing was, he had a very, let's say rigid. I don't even want to say stiff, because you listen to him play and you don't think, oh, this sounds stiff, right? But he had a very rigid technique, right? And he played into the drums, and he really muscled his sticks around, right? And so then when he played with the big band, where in that jazz world, it's all about, floopy, flowy, let's try and be wet noodles, right? That was a challenge for him. That was out of his comfort zone. But you know what? The fact that he did that even, I think, is awesome. And I think he played big band swing better than Michael Jordan ever played baseball, right? If you don't get that reference, I apologize. But so yeah, so there's a lot of things you can kind of say about Neil that are like, oh, Neil was overrated, or oh, Neil couldn't swing, or oh, Neil played so stiff, or oh this, or oh that. I don't know, man. I saw the news today, and my first reaction was no, right? No. And when I was a kid, there were rumors about Neil Peart being sick and going to die. And it seemed there were always rumors about Neil being sick in the 80s and 90s, which I don't know what the hell that's all about. But so when I saw the news today, I thought, oh my God, they're doing this bullshit again. And some of those old rumors were that he had brain cancer. And so for him to actually die of brain cancer was like, I was sure it was a hoax, but it was from the, CBC, and I'm like, oh shit. And so I clicked on that link and I checked it, and I forget where else I found it, but I found it a few other places like NBC, places that probably aren't going to run with a death notice willy-nilly. And it's so strange because, so like, I'm a big Star Trek nerd too, right? And a few years ago, Leonard Nimoy, Spock, passed away, right? And and I was like, oh, that's sad, but like, I still have all the episodes of Star Trek, and so I still have, all the episodes with Spock, and I still have him, and I never knew Leonard Nimoy, and so, he seemed like a super sweet guy and awesome and blah blah blah, but it just didn't. I don't know. It didn't hit right. But today, when I got the news that Neil died, and I didn't know Neil Peart either. And I was already drumming when I discovered Rush, so I can't say that he's the reason I started drumming. And I grew away from him. So it's a funny thing to say, because I just created a few playlists for my car, like Van Halen and Dixie Dregs, and Rush was one of like 5 playlists that I created. So me growing away from Rush is still wow, I still want to listen to them all the time. And I feel kind of silly. And I only saw Rush live once. It was on the Presto tour. Presto actually ended up being my favorite Rush album, which is, it's almost like it's right on the cusp for me of like when they got way less progressive. But like the lyrics on pretty much every song on that album just like break my heart, right? Like Show Don't Tell is kind of like my exact philosophy of the way I want to deal with other people, right? Is like, and the groove, right? The groove in Show Don't Tell. Oh my God. So I saw them live, and they were great. There were a couple of spots actually that there were some phasing issues, right? They kind of got into tempo trouble with each other. But all the songs basically they performed the same as they were on the record, and that's just not a thing I've ever been super excited about seeing, right? Like I saw Whitesnake. Whitesnake was my first rock concert that I took myself to, and I liked it so much that I went back the second night. And David Coverdale's patter, like his jokes and chat and everything, was exactly the same both nights. And so what I had been so impressed by the first night, the second night, I was like, oh, you're just saying the same thing every night. You're not, you're not clever. You're just scripted. And that was a bit how I felt about seeing Rush live. And it's not really that it was a disappointment so much as it was, okay, I've seen them live. But now, holy sh! I'm trying to be G-rated in my language. Holy moly! There we go. There's no Neil left to see live now, right? And we have a million videos of him, but I mean, I guess thank God I saw him live once, right? So it was shortly after Presto, because Presto still impacted me greatly, and like I say, Show Don't Tell, the groove and the drumming I was still like, yes, oh my God, this is amazing. This is something I'm aspiring to, and it's just crazy good. And then, what's after Presto? Is that Roll the Bones? Yep, Roll the Bones. I like Roll the Bones. Roll the Bones is a good record, and it's still, I mean, it's more straight ahead, but it's still pretty progressive, and the tunes are great. But I was at Berkeley. When did Roll the Bones come out? Yeah, I guess I wasn't quite at Berkeley yet, but I was on the Berkeley trajectory, and so I was getting more into jazz and fusion and progressive stuff, and growing a little bit away from really any music with lyrics, but especially, you know, rock. And so I don't know, I hit this point in my drumming where Neil wasn't doing anything I didn't understand. And which isn't to say I can play every Rush song. I haven't taken the time to learn every Rush song, but I think I could. I think all of the Rush songs have parts that are within my vocabulary, if that makes sense. And when I realized that was around Roll the Bones, right? Like my ability was getting better. I was getting more confident in my ability, and I was able to assess other players better. And Neil is Neil, right? And yeah, I don't know how to say it other than I got to a point where I felt like I fully understood his dialect. And that was the weirdest revelation for me. It was, in some ways, it was like, you know, figuring out that the magician is hiding the card in his hand. It was, he didn't have any tricks. And so at first I felt, I don't want to say disillusioned, but I felt like, it's so weird because I said earlier I wanted to be a blend of John Bonham and Neil Peart, right? And I mean, John Bonham, I don't think, besides Fool in the Rain, which I had to like shed for a while to learn, John Bonham really doesn't play anything that's out of most people's vocabulary, right? John Bonham is a pretty straight ahead player, and his beauty is his feel and touch and groove. And so the whole time you're listening to John Bonham, you're kind of aware, oh, well, I could figure this tune out, and maybe I can't play it with the same feel as Bonzo does, but I'm gonna be able to play it. Whereas Neil, when I was a kid, he was doing a lot of things that I was like, okay, I don't understand what's going on here. And then eventually I was like, oh, okay, I think I understand everything. And to go from not understanding to understanding in that way, it kind of felt like losing a hero in a weird way. And that's why ever since then, my relationship with Neil has been so fraught, because, you know, other people will say, oh, he's the best ever, and he's the greatest, and he's my favorite. And, you know, he's not my favorite. And he's not, I don't think best ever conversations are useful, so I'm not even going to get into whether he was the best ever. But when I went from, this is a guy who's doing stuff I don't understand, to this is a guy who I think I understand everything, I think that might have been the last time that the magic of the world melted for me. I mean, because now, I mean, there's tons of drummers who do stuff that I have to like figure out, and I don't completely understand the vocabulary, right? Like, you know, even drummers from 20 years ago, let alone drummers from now, right? But I'm a grown up now, and so I don't have that childhood wonder that I had with Neil. There's something about, you know, the music that is important to you when you're a teenager, especially an early teenager, is going to be huge forever. And I guess that's it. Okay, so I don't know if I've gotten out most of what I want to say. I started to write, you know what this is? So for a long time, I've been wanting to record these videos of like, hey, here's a drummer you should listen to. Here's a drummer you should check out. And here's some of his work you should check out. And when Neil died, I started to write a Facebook post, and I got like 3 sentences in. I was like, my feelings are too complex. Like, this guy, I've probably cried more in like the last, whatever, I only found this out, 7 hours ago, the news broke-ish. I've cried certainly more than I ever thought I would have, finding out that Neil Peart died. And so I don't know. I don't know what all these feelings are. But anyway, so let's I'm going to double back and make this hey, why should you listen to Neil's drumming? Okay, so I'm going to run through the discography really quick. So Fly By Night, the 2 Money songs for me are Anthem, which has that crazy fill at the end, but also there's just his drumming is not steady, right? He's aping the rhythm of the song a lot, and so it's a really nice lesson on following the vocal, following the thematic elements of the tune. And then Vitor and the Snow Dog is just, right, it's crazy, right? That's their first, big epic song, and there's odd times, there's weird counting sections, there's, I mean, what can you say, right? So we've got Fly By Night. I'm gonna pick a few records to talk about for the drumming. Farewell to Kings too. I talked about that earlier. We've got A Farewell to Kings is a great song. Xanadu is this giant epic. How long is it? It's 11 minutes long, right? And there's wind chimes, and there's actually like orchestra bells, and it's a whole, if you've seen old pictures of Neil where he had all the percussion crap behind him before the electronic stuff, this was one of the songs where he used all of that stuff. And there's like tons of double bass, and there's and it's again odd times, and just such a good song. Wood blocks, yes, Rob, wood blocks. I think technically those would be temple blocks. Not to be pedantic or anything, but that's my job. So let's see. Oh God, moving pictures. So Tom Sawyer, like who doesn't? I think you would be hard pressed. So there are these songs that I tell students about. Take 5, for example. This jazz tune in 5 by Dave Brubeck. Everybody knows Take 5, especially in the United States, because it's in commercials, it's in movies, it's in, right? If you know one jazz tune, it's probably Take 5. Carmina Burana, this Carl Orff piece, O Fortuna specifically, the first movement, that because it's in soundtracks all the time. I think Tom Sawyer is one of those tunes, right? Are there people who don't know Tom Sawyer? Are there people who can't air drum to Tom Sawyer? Right, those fills, right? I mean, oh God. Red Barchetta, the open hi-hat thing, that for, I mean, still, that's one of my, I mean, it's a simple lick, but that's one of my favorite hi-hat sounds, right? YYZ, oh my goodness. That's an interesting question. When did Moving Pictures come out? 81. So I have grown into a person who really likes instrumental rock as my favorite style of music. And I wonder if YYZ was the first instrumental rock tune I ever heard. It might be. I didn't discover the Dixie Dregs until I was 18 or 19. Joe Satriani was still a few years away with Always With You, Always With Me. That's an interesting thought. Okay. Let me wrap this up because I'm very rambling. Signals, good Lord. That's Subdivisions, right? Subdivisions I don't know, the drums are fun, but I don't think the drums are amazing, but it's a good example of the song construction being ridiculous, right? They've got these big keyboards, which are the synth sounds are the best you ever want to hear, right? I think. And 16th notes on the hi-hat and just bass drum doubling the synth. Good. All right. Presto I already talked about. Okay, so last I just want to read some of his lyrics because his lyrics were what I went back to over and over and over and over again, more than his drumming the last many years. It's weird. He's a towering influence on my drumming, but it's his lyrics and his philosophical bent that really keep me the most interested nowadays. So when they were younger, Rush were all into Ayn Rand, who created this philosophy called objectivism. And it's kind of a libertarian philosophy. It's kind of a selfish, self-centered philosophy. It's definitely the philosophy of young men, right? I can totally see Rush being all, Canadian and libertarian and thinking that they are the masters of their own destiny, right? And so many of Neil's early lyrics are about that kind of concept, right? Even in Anthem, which is, I don't want to say it's ripped off from Ayn Rand's work, but it's heavily influenced by Ayn Rand, right? Live for yourself, there's no one else more worth living for. Begging hands and bleeding hearts will only cry out for more, right? I know they've always told you selfishness was wrong, yet it was for me, not you, I came to write this song, right? It's, wow, you can only write stuff like that when you're a kid, right? When you're a really young man and just being mad selfish, and not even selfish, self-centered, right? And so when I was young, I was a feisty kid, and so this stuff resonated with me too, right? But he came to describe himself as a bleeding heart libertarian because he decided that libertarianism was too selfish and self-centered. Let's see if I can find a I don't know if I can find a counter example, but his lyrics as he got older were so much more nuanced and less less sort of personally biographical and more universal, right? I like his lyrics when he's younger, but when he was older, I feel more like I can relate to them, right? Let's see if I can find an example here. Yeah, I apologize because I didn't prepare this point exactly. I bookmarked a lot of his lyrics, but Nothing specifically as a, oh, hey, I'm pushing back against libertarian thought. And I don't exactly think I bet he still probably would have described himself as a libertarian, right? Like I said, he described himself as a bleeding heart libertarian, which is, if you don't know, is a riff on bleeding heart liberal, right? And I guess that's a thing I see in his lyrics, is that wrestling with, don't tell me what to do. I'm a self-made person, and I want to be able to do what I want to do, and everyone should have to stand on their own, coupled with, yeah, but wow, the world is harsh and capricious, and some people really just have the short end of the stick, and what do we do about that, right? And so his lyrics really matured in that way too, along with him. So I'm going to read a few of my favorite of his lyrics, and then I'm going to go, because I appreciate y'all hanging out with me, those of you that have hung out with me, but I really have begun to ramble. We're saving that one for last. And I think I'm just going to read these whole songs, because I don't even want to pick out, I don't want to try and pick out important bits. So, what the heck album is this from? Yep, that's what I thought. Okay, so first I'm going to read Vapor Trails. One Little Victory from Vapor Trails. One Little Victory, lyrics by Neil Peart. A certain measure of innocence, willing to appear naive, a certain degree of imagination, a measure of make-believe, a certain degree of surrender to the forces of light and heat, a shot of satisfaction in a willingness to risk defeat. Celebrate the moment as it turns into one more, another chance at victory, another chance to score. The measure of the moment is a difference of degree, just one little victory, a spirit breaking free. One little victory, the greatest act can be. One little victory. A certain amount of resistance to the forces of life and love, a certain measure of tolerance, a willingness to rise above. Right? So when he was younger, I'm going to editorialize between, I apologize. When he was younger, lyrics like that were more about, hey, I am so tough and awesome and I'm so strong. And as he got older, his lyrics, when his lyrics were that, they were more inspirational and universal, and just keep fighting, and you can do it, and it's the effort, not the it's the effort, not the result, right? And that to me is pretty huge. Okay, and this is from Test for Echo, right? No, it's from. Is it? Wow, I'm a bad Rush fan. This is from Roll the Bones. This is You Bet Your Life. You Bet Your Life. Lyrics by Neil Peart. Just another hunter, like a wolf in the sun. Just another junkie on a scoring run. Just another victim of the things he has done. Just another day in the life of a loaded gun. The odds get even, you name the game. The odds get even, the stakes are the same. You bet your life. Just another winner pours his life down the drain. Just another island in a hurricane. Just another loser like a cat in the rain. Just another day in the path of a speeding train. The odds get even, you name the game. The odds get even, the stakes are the same. You bet your life. Anarchist, reactionary, running dog, revisionist, Hindu, Muslim, Catholic, creation, evolutionist, rational, romantic, mystic, cynical, idealist, minimal expressionist, postmodern, neo-symbolist, armchair rocket scientist, graffiti existentialist, deconstruction primitive, performance photorealist, bebop or a one-drop or a hip-hop light pop metalist, gold adult contemporary urban country capitalist, just another gypsy with a plastic guitar, just another dancer with her eyes on the star, just another dreamer who was going too far, just another drunk at the wheel of a stolen car. The odds get even. You name the game. The odds get even. The stakes are the same. You bet your life. Okay. This is another one from Roll the Bones. This is The Big Wheel. Well, I was only a kid, didn't know enough to be afraid, playing the game, but not the way the big boys played. Nothing to lose, maybe I had something to trade, the way the big wheel spins. Well, I was only a kid on a holy crusade. I placed no trust in a faith that was ready-made. Take no chances on paradise delayed, so I do a slow fade. Playing for time, don't want to wait for heaven. Looking for love, for an angel to forgive my sins. Playing with fire, chasing something new to believe in. Looking for love, the way the big wheel spins. Well, I was only a kid, cruising around in a trance. Prisoner of fate, victim of circumstance. I was lined up for glory, but the tickets sold out in advance, the way the big wheel spins. Well, I was only a kid, gone without a backward glance, going for broke, going for another chance, hoping for heaven, hoping for a fine romance, if I do the right dance. Wheel goes round, landing on a twist of faith. Taking your chances, you'll have the right answers when the final judgment begins. Wheel goes round, landing on a leap of fate, life redirected in ways unexpected. Sometimes the odd number wins, the way the big wheel spins. Right? I mean, these are so existential and asking big questions and you know, what does life mean and what does anything mean and good Lord, right? Ugh. Okay. Now we're going to get into Presto, and there's too much from Presto. I could read the whole album. I won't, because y'all could do that. But first is Bravado. Bravado, lyrics by Neil Peart. If we burn our wings flying too close to the sun, if the moment of glory is over before it's begun, if the dream is won, though everything is lost, we will pay the price, but we will not count the cost. When the dust has cleared and victory denied, a summit too lofty, river a little too wide, if we keep our pride, though paradise is lost, we will pay the price, but we will not count the cost. And if the music stops, there's only the sound of the rain, all the hope and glory, all the sacrifice in vain. And if love remains, though everything is lost, we will pay the price, but we will not count the cost. Ugh. Yeah, these are going to get teary. I apologize. Oh. I really appreciate the few of you that are hanging out with me, watching me cry, read Rush lyrics. It's, this is really cathartic, and it's really what I need right now. All right, let's see. I need a non-emotional one. Okay. All right, so I've talked about this tune a few times. So this is Show Don't Tell from Presto. Possibly my favorite Neil Peart groove, right? Like if you just take out the digga 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 dot, right? I mean, it's just so, it's still very, very, very much Neil from like that early period. He's still playing a crap ton of notes. He's still being like syncopated and weird, but it's also very, very groovy, right? And in its own way, it's sort of, to me, it's kind of the perfect, I think that's why I like this album so much, is this is the pivot point for me in his playing, right? This is, if I was going to pick one Neil Peart drum performance, it would be Show Don't Tell, which is, if there's anyone else who feels that way, I want to meet you. Okay, so here we go. I don't think this one will make me cry. I should say, so Show Don't Tell, I love this as a philosophy, right? I am very much a I believe it when I see it kind of person. The motto for Berkeley, like the motto for a lot of colleges, is esse quam videre, which, you know, the more I've learned about Latin pronunciation, it's probably esse quam videre. But anyway, that doesn't matter at all. But that translates to to be, not to appear, right? So it's kind of saying, who cares what the surface appearance is? It's what you really are on the inside. So I love that. That's a great motto. Show Don't Tell is kind of like that in a little bit more in your face kind of way. And I mean, this came out what, in 1989, 90? Oh my God. As a 20-year-old, this was catnip for me. Show Don't Tell, lyrics by Neil Peart. How many times do you hear it? It goes on all day long. Everyone knows everything, and no one's ever wrong until later. Who can you believe? It's hard to play it safe. But apart from a few good friends, we don't take anything on faith until later. Show, don't tell. Show me, don't tell me. You've figured out the score. Show me, don't tell me. I've heard it all before. Show me, don't tell me. I don't care what you say. Show me, don't tell me. You can twist perceptions. Reality won't budge. You can raise objections. I will be the judge and the jury. I'll give it due reflection, watching from the fence. Give the jury direction based on the evidence. I, the jury. Show, don't tell. Show me, don't tell me. Hey, order in the court. Show me, don't tell me. Let's try to keep it short. Show me, don't tell me. Enough of your demands. Show me, don't tell me. Witness, take the stand. Show me, don't tell me. Show, don't tell. Show, don't tell. Show me, don't tell me. Hey, order in the court. Show me, don't tell me. Let's try to keep it short. Show me, don't tell me. I don't care what you say. Show me, don't tell me. Let's see Exhibit A. Show me, don't tell me. You figured out the score. Show me, don't tell me. I've heard it all before. Show me, don't tell me. I don't care what you say. Show me, don't tell me. Witness, take the stand. Show me, don't tell me. Hey, order in the court. Show me, don't tell me. Let's try to keep it short. Show me, don't tell me. So another funny thing about that song, right, is the amount of lyric repetition that there is there. it's funny that I consider this a great lyric performance by him, but I think it's partly because the lyrics are so straightforward and so punchy that just repeating them over and over again, especially in the context of the groove that is this song, makes them so powerful. You know, hey, show me, don't tell me. Hey, reading this now too, I mean, it's amazing how you could have written this last year with social media and who do we believe and all that stuff. I mean, this is what I mean about his ability, Neil's ability to write lyrics that became universal, right? And timeless, right? I mean, this, I think as long as there are groups of people that form governments and form one group and you know, one group having motives different from another group, I think a song like this is going to be super useful. Okay, mostly I think the rest of them are all have the potential to make me cry. So yeah. All right. So this is The Enemy Within from Grace Under Pressure. And there's a China cymbal sound in this song that as well as a Neil does like the hi-hat swish bark kind of thing, just so brilliantly. And so this song has a lot of drumming that I like, but also the lyrics. There's one punch lyric that I'll point out at the end that just really gets me every single time. So this is The Enemy Within from Grace Under Pressure. The Enemy Within, lyrics by Neil Peart. Things crawl in the darkness that imagination spins. Needles at your nerve ends crawl like spiders on your skin. Pounding in your temples and a surge of adrenaline, every muscle tense to fence the enemy within. I'm not giving in to security under pressure. I'm not missing out on the promise of adventure. I'm not giving up on impossible dreams, experience to extremes, experience to extremes. Suspicious-looking stranger flashes you a dangerous grin. Shadows across your window, was it only trees in the wind? Every breath a static charge, a tongue that tastes like tin, steely-eyed outside to hide the enemy within. I'm not giving in to security under pressure. I'm not missing out on the promise of adventure. I'm not giving up on implausible dreams, experience to extremes, experience to extremes. To you, is it movement or is it action? Is it contact or just reaction? And you, revolution or just resistance? Is it living or just existence? Yeah, you. It takes a little more persistence to get up and go the distance. I'm not giving out. I'm not giving in. I'm not missing out. I'm not giving up on impossible dreams. Experience to extremes. I'm not giving in to security under pressure. I'm not missing out on the promise of adventure. I'm not giving up on implausible dreams. Experience to extremes. Experience to extremes. Hey, yeah, yeah. Well, that's a song you should listen to with your morning coffee, right? Oh my God, that's all about those chances. Take those chances. So the line is it living or just existence, right? It can be so easy for us to kind of get numb and go through the motions. And this was around the same time. I was a little bit younger when this came out as Presto, because this is Grace Under Pressure, right? I had a lot of emotional not okayness in my teens and 20s. Just the subtle way to say that, I guess. And Neil's lyrics were almost always a a raft for me when I was struggling. I'm not giving up on implausible dreams. I'm not giving up on implausible dreams. Right? Okay. What the heck is this album called? Hold You Fire. Yeah. So Marathon's on Hold You Fire, right? Nope, Marathon's on Power Windows. Yep. All right, so this is from Power Windows. This is Marathon. And I first discovered this on actually the show, A Show of Hands live album. I had the Big Money, or Power Windows rather, tape, but I broke it and wore it out, and I don't even want to say wore it out. I broke it, and so I didn't really learn the songs all that well until later. But I think Marathon is one of Neil's best efforts as a lyricist. This is another rouse you up. How can you not do it? Like they should play this at halftime when the football team is down, right? This should get you ready to conquer the world. Marathon, lyrics by Neil Peart. It's not how fast you can go. The force goes into the flow. If you pick up the beat, you can forget about the heat. More than just survival, more than just a flash, more than just a dotted line, more than just a dash. It's a test of ultimate will, the heartbreak climb uphill. Got to pick up the pace if you want to stay in the race. More than just blind ambition, more than just simple greed, more than just a finish line, must feed this burning need in the long run. From first to last, the peak is never passed. Something always fires the light that gets in your eyes. One moment's high, and glory rolls on by, like a streak of lightning that flashes and fades in the summer sky. Your meters may overload. You can rest at the side of the road. You can miss a stride, but nobody gets a free ride. More than high performance, more than just a spark, more than just the bottom line or a lucky shot in the dark in the long run. You can do a lot in a lifetime if you don't burn out too fast. You can make the most of the distance. First, you need endurance. First, you've got to last. Yeah, these are killing me. Okay. So this one is the one from, isn't it? Yep. So Mission is from Hold Your Fire. Mission. Lyrics by Neil Peart. Hold your fire, keep it burning bright. Hold the flame till the dream ignites. A spirit with a vision is a dream with a mission. I hear their passionate music, read the words that touch my heart. I gaze at the feverish pictures, the secrets that set them apart. When I feel the powerful visions their fire has made alive, I wish I had that instinct, I wish I had that drive. Spirits fly on dangerous missions, imaginations on fire, focused high on soaring ambitions, consumed in a single desire. In the grip of a nameless possession, a slave to the drive of obsession, a spirit with a vision is a dream with a mission. I watch their images flicker, bringing light to a lifeless screen. I walk through their beautiful buildings, and I wish I had their dreams. But dreams don't need to have motion to keep their spark alive. Obsession has to have action. Pride turns on the drive. It's cold comfort to the ones without it, to know how they struggled, how they suffered about it. If their lives were exotic and strange, they would likely have gladly exchanged them for something a little more plain, maybe something a little more sane. We each pay a fabulous price for visions of paradise, but a spirit with a vision is a dream with a mission. Okay, I think we're yeah. All right, just a few more, and then I'm gonna wrap because I warned you all that this was my first live stream and it would be weird and rambly and I would ignore the chat and stuff. And pretty much it has been, and I have been. So I will stop subjecting you to this soon. So this next one is from, let's see, I should remember this one because it's one of my favorite Neil songs, but I don't. Yep, that makes sense. Okay, so this is from Test for Echo. This is Resist. And hey, Mark from Canada, welcome. I'm reading Rush lyrics at this point and it's kind of being very rambly. So Resist is kind of an embarrassing tune for me because embarrassing for me as a drummer. There's a version of this on, I think it's Rush and Rio, that is just Alex and Geddy with no drums. And I really, really, really love that version more than the album version, which has drums. But it's just that type of tune, right? Excuse me, water burp. Okay, so Resist, lyrics by Neil Peart. I can learn to resist anything but temptation. I can learn to coexist with anything but pain. I can learn to compromise anything but my desires. I can learn to get along with all the things I can't explain. I can learn to resist anything but frustration. I can learn to persist with anything but aiming low. I can learn to close my eyes to anything but injustice. I can learn to get along with all the things I don't know. You can surrender without a prayer, but never really pray. Pray without surrender. You can fight without ever winning, but never ever win without a fight. That last line, right? You can never ever win without a fight. It's amazing to me the number of ways that Neil came up with saying, just keep trying, just keep fighting. It's the effort. Keep getting up. No matter how many times you get knocked down, keep getting up, keep pushing. I have a poster on my wall with a picture of Neil that has that line. I'm going to get up and read it to you. Yeah, success is not the result of spontaneous combustion. You must light yourself on fire, set yourself on fire, right? And I don't think Neil said that first, but I can totally picture him saying that, right? That's so much a Neilism, right? Hello, Lauren, and hi, Brian. I'm pretty much just reading Neil lyrics at this point and getting kind of close to the end of my way long ramble. So, yeah, it will. Okay, so this is another one from Roll the Bones, and this is the love song that I needed to hear when I was a teenager, right? When I was a teenager, I fell in love with so many people, and I believed like the Disney thing of like, I'm gonna meet someone, I'm gonna fall in love, we're gonna live happily ever after, and you know that's not really a good recipe for actually life. So yeah. But this love song is this is a real love song. This is what you really hope for, right? Um, Ghost of a Chance, lyrics by Neil Peart. Like a million little doorways, all the choices we made, all the stages we passed through, all the roles we played. For so many different directions our separate paths might have turned, with every door that we opened, every bridge that we burned. Somehow we find each other through all that masquerade. Somehow we found each other. Somehow we have stayed in a state of grace. I don't believe in destiny or the guiding hand of fate. I don't believe in forever or love as a mystical state. I don't believe in the stars or the planets or angels watching from above. But I believe there's a ghost of a chance we can find someone to love and make it last. And make it last. Like a million little crossroads through the back streets of youth, each time we turn a new corner, a tiny moment of truth. So many different connections our separate paths might have made, with every door that we opened, every game that we played. Somehow we find each other through all that masquerade. Somehow we found each other. Somehow we have stayed in a state of grace. I don't believe in destiny or the guiding hand of fate. I don't believe in forever or love as a mystical state. I don't believe in the stars or the planets or angels watching from above, but I believe there's a ghost of a chance we can find someone to love and make it last, and make it last, and make it last. I believe there's a ghost of a chance. I believe there's a ghost of a chance we can find someone to love and make it last. I believe there's a ghost of a chance and make it last. I believe there's a ghost of a chance. Wow, hi Korea. Wow, welcome. Pretty much just reading Neil Peart lyrics and crying every once in a while, although I haven't cried as much as I worried. Oh, so anyway, yeah, that as a love song, right? He's denying all the magic of love, all the mystery of love as this kind of thing, and yet he's recognizing the specialness of it, right? I mean, there's still a miracle and a magic even in the reality of just the fact that all these choices led to two people falling in love. And that, yeah, that's the love song I needed when I was 15. Okay, one more happy one, and then we'll do the ones that are going to make me cry. Okay, so this is another one from Presto. This is Presto. This is another really cool love song-ish. This is an interesting song because it kind of, I change how I feel about it depending on my mood, or I guess the lyrics change meaning depending on my mood. Anyhow, Presto, lyrics by Neil Peart. If I could wave my magic wand, I am made from the dust of the stars, and the oceans flow in my veins. Here I hide in the heart of the city, like a stranger coming out of the rain. The evening plane rises up from the runway, over constellations of light. I look down into a million houses and wonder what you are doing tonight. If I could wave my magic wand, I'd make everything all right. I'm no one to believe in magic, but I sometimes have a second sight. I'm not one with a sense of proportion when my heart still changes overnight. I had a dream of a winter garden, a midnight rendezvous, silver blue and frozen silence. What a fool I was for you. I had a dream of the open water. I was swimming away out to sea, so deep I could never touch bottom. What a fool I used to be. If I could wave my magic wand, I'd set everybody free. I'm not one to believe in magic, though my memory has a second sight. I'm not one to go pointing my finger when I radiate more heat than light. Don't ask me. I'm just improvising. My illusion of careless flight. Can't you see my temperature's rising? I radiate more heat than light. Don't ask me, I'm just sympathizing. My illusion's a harmless flight. Can't you see? My temperature's rising. I radiate more heat than light. So the first couple lines of that song are actually a pretty good, really synopsis of my theology. I am made from the dust of the stars, and the oceans flow in my veins. I mean, in some ways that's a drastic simplification of what people are, but kind of think that's a lot of the important stuff of what people are, and that's what makes us special, and that's what binds us together. Yeah, like I say, that song has a lot going on in it that I can sort of get to in a bunch of different moods. Okay, so I mentioned that my teens and my 20s weren't always the happiest time, and there were certainly times where I thought of not being nice to myself, shall we say. Oh, I love euphemisms. Euphemisms are awesome, right? And this song is kind of written for someone who's in that mindset, right? Of thinking of maybe being not nice to themselves. Yay, euphemisms. This is also from Presto. This is called The Pass. Lyrics by Neil Peart. Proud swagger out of the schoolyard, waiting for the world's applause. Rebel without a conscience, martyr without a cause. Static on your frequency, electrical storm in your veins, raging at unreachable glory, straining at invisible chains. And now you're trembling on a rocky ledge, staring down into a heartless sea. Can't face life on a razor's edge. Nothing's what you thought it would be. All of us get lost in the darkness. Dreamers learn to steer by the stars. All of us do time in the gutter. Dreamers turn to look at the cars. Turn around and turn around and turn around. Turn around and walk the razor's edge. Don't turn your back and slam the door on me. It's not as if this barricade blocks the only road. It's not as if you're all alone in wanting to explode. Someone set a bad example, made surrender seem all right. The act of a noble warrior who lost the will to fight. And now you're trembling on a rocky ledge, staring down into a heartless sea. Done with life on a razor's edge. Nothing's what you thought it would be. No hero in your tragedy, no daring in your escape, no salutes for your surrender, nothing noble in your fate. Christ, what have you done? And I mean, that's really a tough love approach to someone who's considering being not nice to themselves, right? Which isn't always the best approach, but that's really I can hear the pain in his lyrics, right? That I don't know whether he lost someone or almost lost someone, or I'm the type of fan that engages with an artist's work and not necessarily the story behind the work. And so I don't really know what was going on for Neil when he wrote the song, but it really seems like he lost someone, or knew someone who lost someone, or was really good at putting himself in the place of someone who lost someone. Because that last stanza, right? No hero in your tragedy, no daring in your escape, no salutes for your surrender, nothing noble in your fate. Christ, what have you done? Right? I mean, that's... Ugh. Okay. 3 left, and then I'm going to let y'all go. And seriously, there's like a couple of you here, but I'm really, I really appreciate y'all letting me ramble and rerush lyrics, because holy crap, I think that's what I needed tonight. Okay, so this is one more from, this is from Hold Your Fire, right? Yes. So one more from Hold Your Fire. This is Time Stands Still. Time Stands Still, lyrics by Neil Peart. I turn my back to the wind to catch my breath before I start off again, driven on without a moment to spend, to pass an evening with a drink and a friend. I let my skin get too thin. I'd like to pause no matter what I pretend, like some pilgrim who learns to transcend, learns to live as if each step was the end. Time stands still. I'm not looking back, but I want to look around me now. Time stands still. See more of the people and the places that surround me now. Time stands still. Freeze this moment a little bit longer. Make each sensation a little bit stronger. Experience slips away. Experience slips away. Time stands still. I turn my face to the sun, close my eyes, let my defenses down, all those wounds that I can't get unwound. I let my past go too fast, no time to pause. If I could slow it all down like some captain whose ship runs aground, I can wait until the tide comes around. Time stands still. I'm not looking back, but I want to look around me now. Time stands still. See more of the people and the places that surround me now. Freeze this moment a little bit longer. Make each sensation a little bit stronger. Make each impression a little bit stronger. Freeze this motion a little bit longer. The innocence slips away. The innocence slips away. Time stands still. Time stands still. I'm not looking back, but I want to look around me now. See more of the people and the places that surround me now. Time stands still. Summer's going fast. Nights growing colder. Children growing up. Old friends growing older. Freeze this moment a little bit longer. Make each sensation a little bit stronger. Experience slips away. Experience slips away. The innocence slips away. So yeah, right? It's kind of a clarion call to cherish what we have. We can't stop time, but we can try to experience everything we have and not take stuff for granted. Yeah, I think that's a good point, Jeff. Neil was really private, but his I don't know when you came aboard, but I've been reading his lyrics for a while, and I've been talking about how even as a drummer, his lyrics in the end have meant more to me than his drumming. But I think you're right that I never met him. I read interviews with him, but I think I learned more about him from his lyrics than any of his interviews. Even though there were times where he sort of gave the impression that his lyrics mostly were not autobiographical, right? And I think he was pretty good at taking other points of view than his own in his lyrics. I think if you look at the totality of his lyric book, his song book, as it were, I definitely think you get a sense of the man. And I count him as one of the foundational influences on my drumming, even if he you know, stopped being such a huge influence in my like 20s and 30s and 40s. But he's certainly one of the pillars on which my drumming is built. But I mean, he's one of my, more than that, he's one of my philosophy and theology teachers, right? I would not be, I don't think I would see the world the way I do without Neil's lyrics and without his expression of how he saw the world and how he saw humanity and how humanity could, how each individual could be the best individual they could be, but also how each individual could be the best part of a society they could be, and how each society could be the best society it could be. And whether or not he was doing that in a positive exhorting way or in a negative sort of chastising way, I think the message was still clear that that he I would want to live in the world that Neil Peart would create. There you go. That's what I'd say. Hi, Brandon. Welcome. This has been a long ramble, and I've pretty much devolved into just reading Neil lyrics, and yep. And I think I'm going to wrap up soon. I haven't cried as much as I thought I was going to, which is really good. I cried a lot before this. Okay. If there's one that's going to make me cry, it's this. So this is Losing It from Signals, right? Which, if you know what's coming, then you know what's coming, and if you don't, well, here we go. Losing It, lyrics by Neil Peart. The dancer slows her frantic pace in pain and desperation, her aching limbs and downcast face aglow with perspiration. Stiff as wire, her lungs on fire with just the briefest pause, the flooding through her memory, the echoes of old applause. She limps across the floor and closes her bedroom door. The writer stares with glassy eyes, defies the empty page. His beard is white, his face is lined and streaked with tears of rage. 30 years ago, how the words would flow with passion and precision, but now his mind is dark and dulled by sickness and indecision, and he stares at the kitchen door where the sun will rise no more. Some are born to move the world, to live their fantasies, but most of us just dream about the things we'd like to be. Sadder still to watch it die than never to have known it. For you, the blind who once could see, the bell tolls for thee. Bell tolls for thee. For you, the blind who once could see, bell tolls for thee. Bell tolls for thee. So there's this line, right? Yes, definitely DM. Welcome. Lyrical genius indeed. Holy crap. Pretty much that's what this has turned into, was a celebration of Neil's lyrics. So there's that line, right? Sadder still to watch it die than never to have known it, right? That flies in direct contrast, right, to the Alfred Lord Tennyson line, "'Tis better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all." I used to say that was Shakespeare, but it's not. It's Alfred Lord Tennyson. Really embarrassing. If you're going to quote a line over and over and over and over again, make sure you know who the author is. But but way back, probably like 15 hours ago when I started this stream, I talked about, as a young drummer, I wanted to be, my fantasy was to be a blend of, you know, the feel and groove of John Bonham and the technical prowess of Neil Peart. And in a similar way, my philosophy around, loss and what things you should try and hang on to and what experiences you should grab is somewhere between this sadder still to watch it die than never to have known it versus 'tis better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all, right? I mean, those are polar opposites, right? And so I don't know. I think the truth is somewhere in the wrestle between those. But but wow. All right. So I think one more, and then I'm gonna ramble a minute or two more, and then I'm gonna say goodnight because I'm feeling at least, I don't know. I'm feeling at least kind of down. Kind of out of things to say. Okay, so last is Closer to the Heart from Farewell to Kings, and again, way back when I started the stream, one of the amazing things about Rush is that they became the rock band that was simultaneously the cliche rock band, but also the coolest rock band ever, right? They were the nerds rock band. They were the prog band. They were, if you liked music that was remotely rock-ish and remotely heavy and remotely proggy, you liked Rush, right? Even if they weren't your favorite band, you liked Rush. And they sort of became the cliche that could be the answer to all the prog rock band jokes, right? But I mean that in like the best way possible. Like they were the cliche because they transcended, they became the standard, right? Cliches are cliches because everyone knows them. Okay, so last lyrics. Closer to the Heart, lyrics by Neil Peart. And the men who hold high places must be the ones who start to mold a new reality closer to the heart, closer to the heart. The blacksmith and the artist reflect it in their art. They forge their creativity closer to the heart. Yes, closer to the heart. Philosophers and plowmen, each must know his part to sow a new mentality closer to the heart. Yes, closer to the heart. Yeah. Oh. Whoa. Whoa. You can be the captain and I will draw the chart. Sailing into destiny, closer to the heart. Closer to the heart. Well, closer to the heart. Yeah. Closer to the heart. Closer to the heart. I said closer to the heart. Well, closer to the heart. Yeah. Closer to the heart. Closer to the heart. Whoa. It's always a little silly, right, to read repetitive lyrics in a poetic kind of fashion like that, but I kind of like doing it. All right, so I'm out of Neil Peart lyrics. I am not ready to live in a world without Neil Peart. Holy crap! And and like we'll always have his music, and he retired years ago. So in some weird ways, we haven't even, but I don't know. My world feels less good without Neil. All right, so I thank y'all for being here, for any amount of time that you hung out with me. I know this was very rambly, and even more rambly and unscripted than I normally like to be, but I yeah. Thank you. All right. So this is going to be just a parenthetical logistical note. This is going to be a series that I do talking about drummers that I think you all should know. And I'm probably going to do it as live streams because I want them to be really informal. And doing live streams is an excuse to be unscripted. Ha ha. Um, and I've been meaning to start this series for a long time, and Neil was not the drummer I was going to start it with, but when I heard he died, and I don't know. I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I'm going to have another 5 hours of things I could say about Neil Peart. But I'm going to let y'all go. I really appreciate you hanging out with me. Any of you that are still here. Sure, Scott Rockenfield. Yes, he's on the list. But yeah. Look at me, right? I'm no spring chicken. There's going to be a lot of 80s drummers on my list. Okay. But yeah, thanks for joining me. And I'll see y'all again real soon. And rest in peace, Neil Peart. Thank you for all the music. Thank you for all the lyrics. Thank you for all the drumming. Thank you for blowing my mind and then teaching me about philosophy. All right. Good night, y'all. Thank you. I love you. Bye.